Everyone has their own fighting style, even the superheroes. But in order to have a fighting style, you need to be able to have good footwork. Without good footwork, you won't be able to move as efficiently when it comes to sparring. So, as you can see, this video is sparring themed, and we're going to be working on some very simple footwork drills. Hello again, and welcome to the Knowledge Karate Academy YouTube channel. My name is Matthew, and as always, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please click the subscribe button. Also click the bell, and you'll be able to keep up to date with all the latest videos we upload. So some of the drills that we're going to be covering can be related to free sparring, but it can also be related to Jiyu Ippon. Now, Jiyu Ippon is a step up from going from one-step sparring and building up. Essentially, Jiyu Ippon would be the step that happens just before free sparring. So there are elements to free sparring in Jiyu Ippon, but there are still rules in place that you have to stick to the set sparring, such as being able to do certain blocks and specific counter attacks. When we do this footwork, it is relatable for Jiyu Ippon, but also we're going to build on to doing footwork that can help not just for Jiyu Ippon, but for free sparring as well. The whole point behind the drills is that they're simple, but they're effective. They're easy to do, and they're easy to incorporate into free sparring. So the first drill is a very simple drill, and it focuses on retreating or moving back. Now, the idea is to try and make sure that both feet move at the same time, so your whole body moves together, rather than, for example, having one foot move and then the other, or in some cases, people tend to get a little bit confused and end up moving their front foot first. This then means their posture starts to change, they start swinging back or leaning forward afterwards. The idea behind this is to make sure that both knees stay bent and you're nice and low, and the idea is like you skimming across the floor, a bit like how a pond skater skates across the pond. And all you're doing is you're not jumping up and then moving back, you're simply staying nice and low and then you shimmy across the floor, making sure once you've landed, you stay nice and low afterwards. So a simple idea is to think staying low, like you've got a ceiling over your head. You don't hit the ceiling with your head, you stay nice and low, and both feet work together, landing together. To make things a little bit more complicated, to make sure that you know that you are efficiently moving back and preparing yourself, all you simply have to do is simply shimmy back, make sure both knees are bent, and then do a little jump. If you're able to jump properly, you have moved back properly and being able to bend your knees as well. If you find it difficult to jump, it's probably because you moved back and either straightened your legs or your feet aren't quite in the right position in order to jump efficiently. So once you've got the hang of that, you can start incorporating an attack. So to keep things really simple, we're going to add reverse punch. Now the key is to remember that you have to replicate the movement that we've just done after you had done your attack. So after you've done this movement, both feet have moved, your knees are bent and you're loaded, ready to go. You simply add in the front foot movement to do a reverse punch, and then you've got to replicate that movement back and spring back after your attack. The idea behind this is that once you have done an attack, you move away from your opponent, so then you're not too close or you don't get caught out with a counter attack. You replicate this movement, so you think to yourself, both feet move back, keeping your weight down nice and low, you add the counter attack with your front foot, and then you move back again. So it's a simple case of back, front foot, back. And then you can start to speed it up, so you're moving back, nice and low, front foot, and then you move back. So we're going to move on now to a more generic way of thinking about how you move in free sparring. When it comes to moving in free sparring, you need to be able to move efficiently forward and backwards in order to either get closer to your opponent or even move away from your opponent and create distance. So this is a really simple drill. All you would need is a belt, or you could use a ladder, or anything that is going to basically obstruct your movement forward and something you've got to concentrate on being able to move over. So from this point, all you're going to be thinking about is when you move, you've got to clear the belt on different movements, whether that's going forward or going backwards. So to start with, keeping it nice and simple, without doing any extra movement, all you would need to focus on is two things. Making sure you're keeping your weight nice and low with your knees bent, and make sure you clear the belt on the different movements. So when you clear the belt, you're making sure that you move over the belt so that your belt is basically in line with your body, and then you move forward again, so you're clearing the belt every single time. And then the same thing happens when you go backwards, you move back, and you clear the line, and then you move back again. Whatever happens, I'm keeping my knee bent, I'm keeping my hands up, and I'm thinking about the drill that we did earlier. Your feet move at the same time. You're not stepping over, shimming over like this, and then stepping over, doing extra movement. The idea is one movement, keeping your weight down, clear the belt, and then you think forward again, clear the belt, then backwards, lots of movement, but still keeping your weight down. Once you've got the hang of that, start doing it on the bounce. Now, this is the clear test to see if you've got good control of your feet. If you start bouncing and start to lose control of your feet whilst you're stepping over the belt, it's a good idea to either slow down or go back a stage. So when you're on the bounce, the same movement happens. You're clearing the belt and thinking every time you're on the bounce, and you don't actually stop your body movement. You keep it nice and consistent, and everything is nice and relaxed as you move. To take it one step further and to make it even more advanced, you can start thinking about doing two movements, but there is no stop in the middle. This idea is a good way to cover as much distance as possible, whether you're attacking or you're creating distance nice and quickly between you and your opponent. So the idea would be, instead of stopping and bouncing here and moving nice and sharp, the idea is, as soon as you've landed once, you then carry on. So this is where you've got to be nice and light on your feet, and you have 1, 2, and you clear the line twice. Same when you go backwards. You're not going to step with your foot. It's as soon as you've landed, 1, 2, you clear the belt. So the idea is you skim across, as always. I always use this reference and I love it. Like a pond skater. You think, skate across the pond, you go 1, 2, and then clear the gap between you and your opponent, 1, 2. Nice and simple. And gradually start to speed it up and keep the movement going nice and consistent. Once you're starting to feel comfortable and starting to move efficiently over the belt, you can start to simply add some attacks. The idea behind this is that you add that movement into your attacks. You're not stopping at any point. So to keep this really simple, you're going to break it in half. So the idea is you've got the attacking motion and then the retreating action. So the idea is you had that land, 1, 2, keeping your weight down nice and low, you're adding that reverse punch. And now, like I said earlier, it's that replicating the movement backwards that you have to ensure you do. You pull your hand back, 1, 2, and then you're back to where you started. So you think one action, and then you repeat the other action. So you're thinking 1, 2, land and punch, and then you pull back, 1, 2. Eventually, you can start to speed it up. If you really want it, get rid of the belt and start thinking about it without the worry of tripping over the belt. So, all you've got to think now, stay nice and relaxed, keep your knees bent, you can move around a bit more freely, and you're simply going to think 1, 2, punch, 1, 2, back. So you're thinking 1, 2, punch, 1, 2, back. And then you can start making it so you spring forward and then you spring back, all in one. Making sure that you still have a nice strong punch afterwards. Don't do all that lovely work, flick your punch and then come back. Make sure once you've moved forward, nice solid punch, rotating your body, and then you rotate your body again once you move back. So this is a fantastic way to get started on some simple footwork that you can incorporate into free sparring as well as Jiyu Ippon. Don't worry, stay tuned, because we will be covering so many more different combinations, including different bits of footwork, which would be things like adding half-step movement as well as incorporating different attacks. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, because then you'll be able to keep up to date and you'll be able to see the next video that we upload. See you soon.